there's a way to become happier person. The things can change. We can change our mental attitude. We can change our anger. We can change our depression. We can change our over expectation. All these kind of like a emotion that drives us really difficult situation. Is all these are changeable. These all are nature of impermanent. These all are come through cause and condition. Due to way we collect the cause and condition, we fall, not making the right choice. So due to that, we fall in difficulty situations. So the important thing is forgiveness. For able to, because of that possibility, we carry that potential to, forgive. Even some individual person who done some kind of very harmful, from very heinous situation, if we able to forgive, we can become, liberate, and also we can liberate that person's attitudes, that person's mental attitudes from negative towards to positive. Not that we can, the forgiveness doesn't mean that we can going to clean up that person's negativity karma. Forgiveness doesn't mean that we are going to forget, what happens in the past. Forgiveness doesn't mean that we can able to clean up that person's negativity karma. Forgiveness, the reason forgiving is that we are doing something good for our own self. Forgiving is that let going what happens. Let going. Forgiving is that we are not going to stuck with in the past what situation happened. Forgiving means that we are going to move towards to the future. We are going to move towards to the future in a positive direction way. So the concept of forgiveness is that we are justifying that person's action is not. Forgiving is we are not. Whatever that action is, a karma is the responsibility. That person's karma is the responsibility. The forgiving is that we are not going to jump together with that kind of action the person would done for us. We are not going to jump. We want to let go and liberate and release. Not holding on it. Once we hold on it, it's almost like you are caught in this kind of like a tornado or hurricane or that kind of emotion. So basically, forgiving is that you are releasing that kind of dangerous situation. Then, of course, when I look for the concept of forgiveness, related with a kind of like a Four Noble Truth. Unforgivable is that you hold with the situation, whatever. You are holding with the pain. You are staying with the pain. And this is kind of like related with a kind of like a First Noble Truth of the kind of like the suffering. Then of course it's there's no pleasant if we stick with the pain. If we stay, if we carry that pain, there's nothing good comes for our own self. We loved our own self. We want to carry our own self. If we stick with that kind of unforgiving, which is sticking with the pain, not let going, holding, and that is kind of like a really punishing our own self. Then, of course, where we perceive that situation is something that came from 100% from outside, externally. The cause is 100% causes comes from externally. We have that kind of way we perceive. So, from the Buddhist point of view, I think it's important to really look to understand the situation, why we're going through this kind of painful. Understand in our own situation, and also understand the person who done such a action towards to us. First of all, getting understanding, looking from different angle, whole situation, in your case, in another person's case. Once we're able to examine that really carefully, the forgiveness can come instantly. It is not kind of like a process takes such a long hardship. It's not kind of like that. Basically, we have to we shouldn't be with the situation. We have to look for the situation. When we kind of like totally like a mixing with the water and milk, like almost undistinguishable, that time is the problem. I think it's important we need to come out of the situation. That means that we need to not stick with totally with the emotion, but we need to apply our intelligence and trying to find, understand the situation whole and look really different angles. That is kind of like a novel truth with a kind of like a cause understanding. What the cause, what the nature, all these kind of things. Now, in this case, I think, forgiveness, of course, the level of forgiveness is there's like a community, in a nation, collective karmic level, individual karmic level. There's many different levels. Such as like in Tibet case, is this like a collected karmic situation, like Tibet, all the heritage, all are like destroyed, and everybody have to leave their country, and such a hard situation. Now, how we see that situation, like relation with my parents. I mean, like they, not only my parents, there's a lot of my friends who are like, the senior monks and geishis and teachers who went through all those difficulty. But is this interested enough that they never stick with that situation, although they understand, although they remember, they are not numb, they understand. But there is not kind of like a heavy, painful load in their back. Simply, their mind, one thing is individual karmic result, and in another way, collected karmic result. From that angle, when they go deeper level, it becomes very understandable for them. In another way, one thing is for them, they're not ignoring the situation, but still moving forward in the future. They are more focusing in their future. Unforgiving is like you're sticking with the past. You're not let going what happened in the past. So from our own self, situation which, tragic situation happened in our life, in personal life or in a community life, the only thing that we can do is from our own self, what is the important? In the past is like a it is important in terms of that we can learn a lot. The past we can take as like an example, but it is not the real meaning in our life. The future is our meaning. Future that opens for our happy, peace, joy promise. So, more that we're able to look in the future, in our own personal happiness, our family happiness, and community happiness, more that we look in the future, that is the fundamental base that we can able to forgive. We're able to forgive. Then, of course, this concept, loving yourself and also loving for another, caring, caring yourself or cherishing yourself and also cherishing for another. These both are very important. So therefore, again, able to really to forgive. Forgiveness have to forgive. Able to forgive, we have to be really good understanding with the situation. Then we can give genuine forgiveness. Without genuine understanding all the circumstances and situation, even though we might say, mind can make some kind of decision, I forgive, like kind of almost erasing the past. That kind of forgiveness, although better than nothing, but it is not become very strong enough. So forgive, like if we want to forgive somebody in our own life, in situation, I think it's so important to look the circumstances, the situation from many different angles, and able to understand very clearly, not only from our own point of view, but try to understand from their point of view. Try to understand, if you have like a more spiritual experience, understanding. This is the time to apply. When we face difficulty in our life, that time our practice, Dharma practice, religious practice, this is the time to, the practice that doesn't help when we facing difficulty, what's the purpose of a practice? When there's a beautiful sun shining and warm and you have not hurry, and that time practicing is anybody can do it. It's not amazing, it's not surprising. The practice that when we face really difficult situation, when we face really difficult in our life, when we face critical situation, we have to shine the Dharma's wisdom. So, for that reason, as I mentioned earlier, in a certain level, just kind of like a forgetting or suppressing or any kind that kind of level in the past, then just looking for future and kind of like forgiveness. That is kind of better than nothing, but it is not strong enough. Very important to understand whole situation and based on that able to forgive. That is the another one. And not only that, understanding the situation and based on that able to cultivate certain level of a compassion for the person who did such a act for you or your friends or teachers and so on and so forth. Once you're able to cultivate understanding the situation and able to cultivate compassion, based on that, once we're able to forgive, then it is the excellent. That kind of forgiveness is kind of like a bodhisattva's forgiveness. Yeah, that kind of act is such a powerful. Now, in any case, forgiveness, it doesn't mean we are erasing the karmic action the person does. No. The karmic responsibility, nobody can come and clean up. Individual person have to be their own karmic responsibility. They have to pay the karmic debt. Basically, how much we can do from our own self, let go. And things to clean up totally, that person have to take also responsibility, to clean up the the mess or the karmic death. Mm, uh, and for forgiveness, one thing is one important thing is forgiveness is that we are not allowed to influence our past to future. That is, I think, one thing is important. Sometimes we understand that patient and like not doing anything, something, let them take advantage. Forgiveness, try to erase the past, forgetting the past. It's absolutely not like that. The forgiving is the reason why we have to forgive. In one angle is our own reason of our own happiness. If we are not able to forgive, we will struggle more. We won't be happier. So therefore, one reason, the reason why we need to practice in forgiveness is that our own interest, from one angle, our own peaceful. Indirectly, that also brings happy and peace for the person who acts such an action. Forgiveness doesn't mean that you are giving, in conventional way, you are giving victory for another people and kind of like let them take advantage on our own self. Absolutely no. As I mentioned earlier, karmic responsibility, person have to carry. The karmic responsibility the person have to carry. Then one thing is to able to really practice forgiveness. Sometimes when we look from sometimes we get attached for the negative emotion, some kind of addiction with the negative emotion. Somehow like we go on and on and on and on. So basically, we have to practice releasing that kind of negative emotion. Kind of like a practice of, in one angle way, generosity. Let's give it that. Basically, we have to, unable to forgiveness is a strong addiction on the negative emotion. Addicted, just you go all the time in that corner. That is the one principal problem. First, we have to get distant. The mind have to get distant from the situation what happened. Distant in terms, not trying to forget totally. The distant is like enough is enough. I understand. I don't need to repeat that on and on. That is the point. Distant doesn't mean that you're totally forgetting that situation. Only the cutting the limit. And then, of course, to able to really to forgive, we have to have a certain level of a discipline for our own self, to able to stand up and really to release that kind of heavy emotion. We have to have a certain strength. It's a kind of like a discipline. This is very important to able to really to forgive. Then, of course, to able to forgive, not only strength enough, but we are able to not putting too strong expectation that the future comes so fast, the happiness, the peace comes so fast. That kind of over expectation. We have to be patient on that forgiveness forgiveness is like a changing. You're making big change. You're making big step. So it takes time, and so therefore, again, how you say, the basically, if we able to really to forgive, wants to really to practice and forgive, the continuity of a mental wish that you are certain day you become so enthusiastic and you really want to deal with that problem, then after several days, then you just drop. Then you kind of like, if you progress that situation in that angle is not very strong. So we are able to keep the continuity of the desire, the wish, the hope. This is very important to able to really to able to forgive, because again, forgiveness is something that tragic situation that you are trying to release in one another way. Forgiveness is like a suffering transforming in the positive condition for your future peace, for your future liberation, for your future happiness. It is kind of a very advanced, a certain level of advanced training. So we have to be very, as I mentioned earlier, strength enough, and also, patient enough, able to. Then one thing is again able to really to forgive our motivation and our intention. We have to keep alive that motivation to releasing that holding, that tightness in the situation. That kind of intention and enthusiasm. We have to keep very alive. So then again, I think it's one thing is important. From your side, you are prepared. Willing to forgive. Your enthusiasm. You have the enthusiasm. It's not that in a society tells you that forgiveness is good. The religion tells you that forgiveness is good. Not from that angle. Only that, happiness of your own future, peace of our own future. From that reason, you are willing to do this. You are willing to take this path. So that really we have to keep really fresh in our mind. But now, of course, it is important to the person that where you're going to forgiving, I say, where you're going to practice forgiveness, is very important to understand by that person. So that there's in that level, I think it takes certain kind of like a skillful means that you will choose in the right time, in the right moment, that you are acknowledging that you are going to release that tightness and that you're going to forgiving for whatever circumstances happen in that situation. You're going to acknowledge, to let the person know. Sometimes it's important if you don't choose at the right time and the right moment. Of course, it might get counter reaction, and you might get disturbed. But of course, when we say like choosing the right moment, it is of course in any time, this kind of situation, when you want to choose the right moment, that means that person's emotion level. That person's emotion level, when it was a balance, when that person's mind is, emotion is one of them not in extreme, anytime when the person's mind's in any of the extreme, then they won't going to listen at all. Even they try to listen, they will try to listen from the point of view of how they want to hear. In many situations in our life, of course we want to make a clarification. It's important. But once we didn't unable to choose the right time, then people trying to listen from how they want to hear. Even you say the same word, different people hear a different way due to how they want to hear in same sentence. So therefore, it is so important that when we say right time to able to really to confronting for the person, forgiving, for the whatever situation, that the person's emotion level when it's like more calm, more peaceful. Then of course these things basically you can see a little bit from the outward physical activity, verbal activity. Pretty much you can pretty much you can you can judge, then of course in this case, sometime the person might come and say more things. That's all the problem may point to yourself. It's possible. It may turn in different direction, but again, once it's sometimes, then okay, sometimes person really back up and they, okay, I won't never going to forgive for you forever. Why that happens is when the person, with the all preparation, with the all understanding, you ain't going to confirm that you're going to forgive, hold the situation, or let them knowing. But in the mind, if you have a kind of like a strong expectation, this is the final, this is going to clean up everything. If you have a kind of although you have this whole very well structured action, but in the hand, if there's a kind of expectation involves, it's naturally when we do something good thing, we have some kind of expectation comes with it. So again, level of the expectation becomes quite strong. Then, when the person even didn't respond in a good way, then you will lose all your effort that you put on this case. So therefore, to really not to waste your own this action or this again you're willing to continue. You're willing to continue the forgiveness, even though that person is not really, understanding or accepting or all those things. If you thought ahead, that might happen, but still, I want to continue this, positive, wholesome action. So that gives some kind of like protection for us to not to fall in a very strong expectation. This is naturally, sometime it is, I think, in our own life, when we do virtue things, very good things, good things for another people, with the compassion in our own level of understanding. But sometimes this our own expectation. There is some kind of, this kind of wish, a strong wish comes that, to able to solve the problem and have become like everything will going to be perfect. This kind of over wish or over desire or whatever, strong wish.
Always wanting resolution.
And so this kind of things makes puts our very risky situation. So therefore, of course, when you're trying to forgive for somebody, I think we have to put our hope, but strong expectation into resolution or something and that can destroy all the effort that you put in previous time. So therefore, all those things can solve also at the beginning by understanding whole the situation from your side and from the another side. It depends how much carefully you look for the situation, from the different angle, from that side angle, from your side. The better you look and see carefully, the less the problem that you're going to face actual when you're going to forgive, actual when you really, face to face and able to, no matter how much that person resistant in the situation from your side, because of your wisdom, because of your own compassion, there's no way that person can ruin our effort. So therefore, forgiveness is a very ideal and a wonderful practice, but to happen that in a process of understanding, in the wisdom's involvement, compassionate involvement, to understanding whole the situation, many from different angle, is this kind of like a very stable base, and then when you're able to forgiving, and then
what kinds of things could we understand that would help?
Now, this is so important that when we get like strong negative emotion falls for somebody, we feel 100% is that person is the responsibility, the person. We carry very strong the person. And we don't really, we almost like that person, nature of that person, almost that negative action and the person's nature is almost, we see oneness. And this is the one step that we have to, that the person, even no matter how much person done in this life, is heinous action, but nature of that person is willing to do something good if the right cause and condition comes. There's something that there's an innocent inside there, but due to this kind of negative action, it's shadowed, and also that person can't see, and we also can't see. So the problem that, once we're able to make a separate that situation and the nature of the person, that person, all in a negative situation, we see that all the action and the person is in the one nature and kind of like not separable. So, of course, the first step, to understand that basically one popular way of thinking is how that person was influenced by negative emotion. That kind of, that person was influenced by something. If you see something behind the person, is the first step that you can really separate that situation and the person. Then, this is that part of the, or how we deal with that person, and that comes with all the, from the Buddhist point of view, the karma involvement, and like it's go far and far. Now, from our own situation, and the important thing is, as mentioned earlier, just looking for the situation and holding on that emotion heaviness This is nothing good for our own case. And if that enemy really wants to, you have that. And so why you voluntarily to being in that situation? So there's nothing helpfulness, looking from that angle. As I mentioned earlier, past can just be example, but not being meaningful. Future is our meaning, reality. So holding in this kind of situation is nothing good in our own situation. This kind of situation, practical situation, we can look one angle, and the one angle can be more difficult, but from the Buddhist point of view, in our life, any kind of difficult situation when we face is we are cleaning up the karmic death. That makes in the future better. In the future, in terms from the Buddhist point of view, in the future of not only this life, we're trying to think, thinking about from lifetime to lifetime. So there's a much more, bigger way to look for that situation from the karmic point of view. Now, whatever any angle you're looking for that situation, in a conventional way or spiritual way, the negative action, whatever haven't done, is never going to be cleaned up. It never been, it has justified and erase it. And people can go with, go with, done thing and go with, how I say that? Run away from the karmic death. Or I don't know how to say, like, get away, get out way or get away. So we don't want that, and reality is not going to happen in spiritual level or in conventional whatever. But basically, forgiveness is something, treatment for the wound. Whatever there's a wound happen is a treatment.
So, but what if that person is creating karmic debt to you and you don't want it to happen? If the person
That's very good. Again, like forgiving. Forgiveness, doesn't mean that that person let to do again, over and over. That's quite clear. Forgiveness means like enough. It's not time to stop. Time to stop. Forgiving doesn't mean justifying whatever action that person doing over and over. Forgiving means basically, whatever situation that person trying to create, doing again and again for you, but you are not trying to caught in that that twist. And basically, forgiveness brings the space to you to make a very clear cut for that person to making that time to stop. It's enough. It's enough. Once we unable to forgive, basically what's happens is we will roller coaster together with that person's karmic action.
Right. So how do we clear that? I mean, because it's like I don't want to be creating these karmic things with people.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to so we do vajrasattva to just try and purify that. It's like my mind that's creating these dramas.
Mm-hmm.
And so to cut the root of these people having to doing bad things and then owing me.
Mm-hmm.
So we do vajrasattva for that. I mean,
Oh,
you can't
okay.
stop somebody from doing their actions if they don't even realize they're doing something. They don't even realize what they're doing. Even when you say you're doing this, they say, "Well, I am not." They just can't even see it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, but at the same time, I don't want to be creating the debt either. So it's like, how can I, within my own mind, quit creating this karmic cycle?
Okay. Yeah. Now, again, we are our own karmic responsibility, and another people are their own karmic responsibility. That we, the Buddha can clean up our own negative karmic action, and all this kind of, again, we have a limit. Even enlightened being, although there's a whole perfect wisdom and perfect compassion, but the sentient beings of negative karmic action doing again and again is still. So now there's a certain thing that we can do from our own self. That is the first step that we can able to change that person. The change starts from our own self. If we want to change that person, negative karmic action, first there's a certain level, the step we have to take our own self. That is the base, some kind of certain level of change that becomes able to change that person. There's able to change. There's not like 100% that we can change. We can't say, because that person's karmic, totally that person's responsibility. That person, we have to create that condition to really that person able to change. Of course, we can make a wish and pray and practice such as a bodhisattva. It will going to become only condition for that person's purification. It doesn't become cause to really that person's to purify their own negative action. They have to put the motivation. They have to put the action and purify. So. Again, the reality situation, Buddha's enlightened power, compassion power, and our own sentient beings' karmic power are equal. Neither is powerful than one is not powerful than other. It's just we are equally, to make a change. These two have to connect. These two have to face in the right direction and right cause and condition. So, as like that, in our own ordinary, our own case, again, same thing, that we can just, we can shine the compassion sun, but I don't know, they will bring the flower in the sun. To really to grow, we can shine, but the person have to put that flower in the right direction.
I was so angry with someone, and it was like me taking poison, hoping the other person would get sick. It was bothering me that much, and they might not have even known it. And whatever happened to me in the argument in a court situation, something came over me, and I just stopped. I stopped playing. I said, "It's okay. I'm not going to do this anymore. Do what you ever have to do." But I stopped, and it took everything out of me. And it just all calmed down and turned out okay. I stopped to push. I just let go. I said, I can't convince you, and I'm not going to fight you. So do what you have to do. But for my part, I stopped. And it just seemed to, they didn't even know how to respond. It was, and I'd say, it doesn't matter. It's okay. And it really come to me of resentments and being angry with somebody. Heck, they might not even know I'm angry with them, or something that they've done. But first I had to go back on myself and own my side of the street and say, what did I do to get into this? And what can I do not to do that again? And do I need to make an amends and talk to them? And if I've done all those things and it doesn't help, then I just got to let it go. For me, it seemed to take all that out of me. I didn't feel the need to fight that anymore.
Yeah, exactly. It's, we get tighter, then another get tighter and tighter and tighter. It's kind of like two strings kind of like tightening. Usually this happens. So when you let go, that person kind of like, when you're pulling, you just let go, that person kind of like falling. It's kind of that kind of situation. We humans sometimes, when another person becomes louder, then this becomes louder, and that's become louder and louder, and forgiveness in another hand is like trying to taking out, the noise comes from two hands. So forgiveness is like taking out that one part of the to stop the noise, stop the pain. Yeah. So I think is but at the moment, I want to convince that person, so I have to become more louder and more tighter and more stronger. Then the same kind of mental process that person will take, and that person will go again in the same kind of mental process. I have to be stronger, I have to be louder, I have to be, and like the more tighter and more tighter. So there's no compromising situation. Sometime. So anyway, I'm just thinking, did I forgive anything? So far, my lifestyle in growing up, it was a very peaceful environment, and for me, my own mental attitude, sometimes childish, sometimes grown up. So anyway, there's as a human being, I think I can say that I have not really difficult that situation that all the time kind of I don't remember, or I didn't really feel happen that in my life so far. Only that I can see that things didn't happen in my life. It's not because I have this kind of reincarnation, blah blah blah. It's not that case. I think my personality. I think that plays key role in our life also. Personality, our own personality, being more enjoying. I think we should enjoy our life. Because I have this kind of attitude, enjoying more life than sometimes full in a layback. So maybe the important thing is, and sometimes I see in the Westerners, they have to do something, like never stopping, like you have to enjoy your life. Then, of course, absolutely, like not becoming totally like me, like lay back doing that. I think that is also one extreme. So anyway, we don't need to really drive our life. We can ride. We can, enjoy our life, and we don't have to be all the time in kind of like in a competition. So. this kind of mental attitude, once you really not kind of all the time tight, once you're able to, relax in terms of not wasting your time, but enjoying your time with progress. I think then just that kind of mental attitude also really save us in many situations, in many difficulty situations. So therefore, therefore enjoy the life. So therefore, I mean, like, what to say? Enjoy the life. Even when we say practicing, sometimes I see Western practitioners immediately going so fast. I want to do the best. Looking so strong in this kind of direction. Then almost the practice becomes kind of like a heavy. Right? You don't have to be. I mean, like, let it grow naturally. Let it grow naturally. In Kopan, early time, my responsibility, I have to water the flower, which is upstairs, the gompa. Of course, Lama used to come from West and bring many different seeds, and we put the seeds, and I used to, again, 3 days later, I opened, nothing happened. Like, if it grow a little bit, looking, let it grow naturally, like. So for our own, I think it's same thing. Sometimes I see in the practitioners, Western practitioners, like almost pulling your practice to grow up, pulling up. It's important to let it grow naturally. Then I think the continuity is important, continuity. And then let it grow it naturally. And then even our practice can be joyful. Okay, thank you very much.